Hi, this is Ron Darling.
This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to MetsMusings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of MetsMusings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of MetsMusings. I hope you all had a great week out there, better than the Mets did. Though their week wasn't awful, let's be honest. They had a 6-game road trip. They went 3-3. They took the opener in St. Louis, dropped the next two. Well, they were rained out on Saturday, dropped the doubleheader on Sunday. Part of the problem there was that they just couldn't get the big hits with the men on base. They had enough hits. They had the guys into position. That key hit just didn't come in both games of the doubleheader, and they went down to the Cardinals in the doubleheader. Blade Tidwell, had a shaky major league debut in Game 1. He pitched 3 2/3 innings, and he gave up 6 earned runs on 9 hits and 3 walks with 2 strikeouts. He was removed after throwing 82 pitches. He said that he needed to execute better ahead in the count, and he was a little shaky there, but I'm sure they'll take him down. He'll go work on what he had problems with, and they'll straighten him out. He's got too much talent not to come back from this. And the key players in that series for the Mets really were Alonso and Nimmo in Game 1, who homered to get the Mets off. Clay Holmes pitched well in the series. Francisco Alvarez in Game 1 had one of the best games that he's had since coming back from the IL. So they go 1-2 in St. Louis and then head to Arizona to play the D-backs, where Lindor and Alvarez shined in Game 1. Alvarez beat out a infield hit, and that set it up for Tyrone Taylor to put him into scoring position, and then Lindor hit a 3-run homer to give the Mets some breathing room, and they would need it because Dedniel Nunez struggled in his season debut and gave up some runs, and Reed Garrett came in and allowed the guys to score, but he was able to put the fire out, and Diaz came in and held the Mets on, so they get their 5-4 win. They dropped the second game 5-1 to the Diamondbacks of the series, and it was all just no offense again. David Peterson wasn't sharp in this series, and Jose Budo, he pitched 2 innings in relief, but gave up 3 hits, a walk, and a run. In the road trip finale, the Mets wrapped up that road trip, and it was all Juan Soto. He had two solo home runs, and looked good. He could be coming out of his slump, if you want to call it that. He's still hitting .267 and getting some hits in there, but and walks, getting on base, but he is struggling a little bit. But looked good in this game. 2 home runs. He looked good on the road trip. He hit a couple of shots that could have went out. One, the guy went over the fence to get. Another one was up to the fence. So he's been hitting the ball hard. He's been hitting the ball well. So I think he's coming out of it now. Kodai Senga, on the other hand, he struggled with command from the get-go. He He walked 5 of the first 10 batters he faced, but his jams in the first 3 innings were bailed out by his teammates as the defense sparkled to help him out. So as I said, they went 3-3 on the road trip, and now they come home for a 6-game homestand, 3 against the Cubbies, 3 against the Pirates. So thank goodness they're coming home. They'll actually be home a little bit longer than that because their next road trip includes 3 in the Bronx. So it's not really a road trip. It's just a bus ride to another borough. So they'll be home for a while. And on the injury front, it isn't good news. A.J. Minter has been lost for the season as manager Carlos Mendoza told reporters that the Southpaw will undergo surgery to repair a torn lat next Monday. The Mets revealed last week that surgery was under consideration. Minter understandably attempted to exhaust all other avenues, but it came down to that is the best thing to do was to get the surgery. So he is gone for the season, and he joins his other lefty bullpen compadre, Danny Young, who had Tommy John surgery last weekend. He too is lost for the season. So that really hurts the Mets for lefties in the bullpen. They've brought in Genesis Cabrera. We'll see how that works out. We may start seeing a revolving door of lefty relievers until they can settle on some. Hopefully somebody comes about that will help settle this down and get things straightened out in the bullpen. Jesse Winker landed on the 10-day injured list due to a right oblique strain. Winker was diagnosed with a grade 2 strain, one of moderate severity, and will be down 6 to 8 weeks. Ronnie Mauricio continues to play in the minor leagues, rehabbing from a knee injury he suffered over a year ago. He is set to play for Double-A Binghamton on Friday. And we had 2 other potential injury scares to left-handed batters. And the Mets are not thick with left-handed batters right now. Brandon Nimmo looked like he tweaked his knee the other night and on a play in left field going after a ball. And he stayed in the game, finished it out, but everybody had a collective holding of their breath when he got injured. And then Jeff McNeil came up after hitting a triple, holding his hamstring, and that did not look good. But the report from the clubhouse was that he felt a cramp in the hamstring, not a pulse, as far as we know so far, just a cramp, and that after the game he felt fine, no problem. We'll wait until tomorrow, game time, and see what happens. He could go on the IL, or it could have been just a cramp and maybe he hydrated, they iced it. We'll see. But left-handed bats, that would be, if they lost any of those guys, Nimmo or McNeil, that would make the second. They've already lost Winker for 2 months and can't really afford to lose any more bats of the left-handed variety, especially because we really need those guys. Mendoza was also asked about Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas. As far as Montas goes, he threw his 3rd bullpen session this week, continues to progress and is feeling good. He reportedly remains on track for an early June debut. Manaea, the southpaw, threw up to 105 feet and is getting the intensity back up. He is also progressing well. So, no real timetable for Mr. Manaea, but at least Montes is progressing, and at this point, the more arms, the merrier, especially with the bullpen going down. It'll be interesting how they're almost going to have to reconstruct this bullpen on the fly. There are some cracks now showing. Kranick has gotten hit a little bit. Reed Garrett's gotten hit. Diaz got hit a little bit. And that's because, they haven't lost their touch. It's just that they've been used so much. There may be some fatigue. Though Mendoza has tried to use them wisely and not back to back. But, it happens. And then with guys going down, he's got to do what he can. Now, a bright spot recently has been Huascar Brazipan. He has pitched well coming out of the bullpen. So he may be some guy that they'll lean heavily on. Stanek has been a little inconsistent recently. Jose Buto has not been sharp. He was so sharp last year. He has not been that sharp so far this year. So, it could be mechanical. Who knows? They'll be working on it. They'll figure it out, hopefully, in time. But so far, there's nothing really to complain about. They're hanging in there and playing halfway decent baseball. And in other news, Daniel Nunez, we said earlier, has joined the team. Struggled badly in his season debut. But the adrenaline was pumping and he was ready to go. He wanted to get back, and it did look like he kind of overthrew at times. So we'll see. Once they get him settled in, maybe he gets in a groove. The Mets recall Brett Beatty from AAA Syracuse. Beatty had 3 hits and 10 at-bats since being optioned on April 24th. And additionally, right-handed pitcher Austin Warren was returned to Syracuse after serving as the 27th player on Sunday. The Mets also announced that they signed left-handed pitcher Colin Posh to a minor league contract. He will report to AAA Syracuse, and we may be seeing a lot of that coming up. Major League Baseball announced its first batch of monthly award winners for 2025 last Friday, and 2 of the National League honorees are New York Mets. First baseman Pete Alonso was named NL Player of the Month for March and April, while versatile infielder Luis Angel Acuna took home NL Rookie of the Month honors. The 4-time All-Star is off to one of the best starts of his 7-year ML career. Going into Friday of last week, Alonso led the NL with a .475 on base rank percentage and ranked second with a .342 batting average. Acuna has not provided much power, but as of last week, his .288 average leads all NL rookies with at least 70 plate appearances. So congratulations to those 2 guys for having taken home some honors for the NLL Player of the Week and NLL Player of the Month and NL Rookie of the Month for Acuna. So congrats go out to them. All right, let's take a quick break and come back after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
And now it's time to go down on the farm. Okay, and on the farm, Mets pitching prospect Nolan McLean, who had been dominating the season for Double-A Binghamton, was promoted to Triple-A Syracuse. The 23-year-old right-hander, who is in his first season as a full-time starting pitcher, you remember that he was a two-way player like Shohei Ohtani, but he decided to concentrate on pitching, and he's done real well so far in 26.1 innings over 5 starts for Binghamton this year. McLean had a 1.37 ERA, a 1.22 whip with 30 strikeouts. On May the 2nd, McLean fired 6 innings of shutout ball while allowing 5 hits, walking 2 and striking out 4. He features an elite sweeper and a high-octane 4-seam fastball, and also utilizes a changeup and a cutter and a curve. So McLean now at Triple-A, and he joins other Mets pitching prospects, Brandon Sproat and Blade Tidwell. So 3 of the top Mets pitching prospects, 4 pitching prospects, are at Triple-A. Jonah Tong, another prospect, is with Binghamton, where he has been excelling this year. Tong has a 3.38 ERA and a 1.40 whip with 38 strikeouts in 21.1 innings over 5 starts, an eye-popping rate of 16 strikeouts per 9 inning. Now, some of us were lucky enough to see him last season at Brooklyn, where he pitched very well, got promoted to Binghamton midway through the season, and stayed with Binghamton this year, and it won't be long, I don't think, before he shines at the AAA level and goes to Syracuse. Felipe De La Cruz was named International League Pitcher of the Week, a relatively overlooked lefty pitching prospect who had an ERA above 4 for High A Brooklyn last year. De La Cruz shined by tossing 6 scoreless innings with just 1 hit allowed and 9 strikeouts in his Syracuse Mets debut. His next outing, he pitched 1 2/3 scoreless innings and hit 98 mile per hour for AAA Syracuse. With the injuries in the Mets bullpen, could we see this young man sooner than later? We'll have to see how that all works out. Jet Williams, who struggled last year with injuries and is healthy this year, has been hot at the plate, and he continued his strong performance last week against Erie. In 5 games, Williams went 5 for 16 with 3 doubles and a stolen base. He also struck out just once and walked twice. He recorded a 5.29 OPS in 22 games with Binghamton last year. This year, he already owns an 873 OPS in 21 games with Binghamton to start 2025. And 2 Cyclones, one who has now been promoted to Binghamton, that is Zach Thornton, and Jacob Raymer, earned awards for the month of April, with Thornton being named South Atlantic League Pitcher of the Month and Raymer being named South Atlantic League Player of the Month. Carson Bange and Ronald Hernandez also had scorching performances at the plate in last week's series. Benj went 8 for 22 with a triple, 2 doubles, and 6 runs scored, while Hernandez went 8 for 18 with 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, and 4 runs scored. So the minor leagues are heating up, and it's good to see that a number of the guys are really playing very well ball, good ball this year for the minor leagues. It may not always show in the standings, but they have a lot of prospects, and at least they're playing some good ball and winning awards, which is always nice. Let's check out the standings. Syracuse is 16-19. They're in 7th place, 7 games back. Binghamton is 16-11. They are in 2nd place, a half a game back in their division. Brooklyn is 18-10. They are in 3rd place, but only a game out of the division lead. St. Lucie is 17-12, and they're holding down 1st place in their division, 1 game up. And the Florida Complex League started. The FCL Mets are 0-2, last place in their division, and they are at a 2.5 game deficit. So that is the farm report for this week. Well, as we said earlier, the Mets come home for 6, and they will be playing the Chicago Cubbies to start off that series. The Cubs are in 1st place in their division, so it'll be a 1st place collision in the National League. Division collision. Hey, that rhymes. And the Cubs are 22-16 on the young season. Mets, of course, at 24-14. And the probable pitchers will be Jamison Talion. He is 2-1 on the year against Clay Holmes, who's 4-1. The Cubs have not decided who is pitching Saturday as we record this, so we got TBT. Tyler McGill is scheduled to go for the Mets on Saturday. He is 3-2. Matthew Boyd will throw Sunday for the Cubbies, and the Mets will counter with Griffin Canning, who is 5-1 on the year. And that is going to wrap it up for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll come back again next week. If you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, please leave a comment, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and that way you'll always know when another edition of Mets Musings is coming out. We're also available on every podcast app. The audio version is as well. So be sure to check us out wherever you get your podcast. So until next time, remember, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets. And I'm Gary Mack, and I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.